being labeled is a part of life, right? Some of them we like, some we don't. Some we gave to ourselves, some were given to us by birth, some were given to us by family and friends and well-meaning people, some given to us by haters. But if we don't examine them closely, you just might find yourself living in an invisible prison.
The Creator Podcast.
My name is Dion Williams, aka Dion Does, and I truly believe that we were all created in the image of the ultimate creator, and therefore it's in us all to create. And this show aims to help you and I both level up in this four-dimensional game of life so that we can go out and create for good, whether that's for ourselves, our family, the community around us, but all of this a part of a generational vision of a family of creators coming together to be the difference. Creator family, welcome back. I hope you guys are blessed. I hope you guys are staying safe. I got a topic today that can be heavy, and it's something that we don't always pay attention to, not because we don't know that it's there. Sometimes we don't, and we're going to talk about that, but sometimes it's just uncomfortable and it's intimidating. But as creators, it's very, very important that we examine the labels. Some of them are placed on us by others. Sometimes very well-meaning people. Could be parents, could be spouses. Sometimes they have evil intent behind them. Sometimes they're from haters. Sometimes they're placed from people that have jealousy or resentment. They're flying at us constantly. You know, you're fat, you're big boned, you're dumb, you're ugly, you're smart, you're studious, you're broke. All of these are labels, and if we're not careful, we will find ourselves living our lives based on these labels. Think about it. As you pull out your creator frame, we think about our faith, our relationships, our energy, our economics. As you just zoom in on an area, let's pick one at random. Let's say your health. So that'd be your energy, all right? Your health, your fitness. What labels can you think of? I said one of them, like one is I'm big boned. I don't even know what that means, right? Like what, your bones are bigger? That's why you're chunky? No, you ain't big boned. You ain't got nothing to do with your bones. It's the fat on your body. You could lose that fat. I've seen that a lot. I actually have a student recently who did the purge. And when you do the purge, we do like a type of diet in it, right? It's not meant to be a diet, and it's not. Anyway, don't worry about it. We do like an intermittent fasting. And so we kind of limit what we eat. And in that, they lost weight in 30 days, a lot of weight. And they were like, man, I just always thought I was big boned. I thought I couldn't. Like, what do you mean? Like, there was a cap on your body? Now, I get it. Some people have legitimate health issues that make it extremely difficult to lose weight. But a lot of people don't. And they had always lived their life with this label. So, it was given to them by their parents. Their parents were like, yeah, we're just big boned in this family. And, of course, their parents thought that because their parents told them that. And it's like, no, it ain't that you're big bone. You just like eating fried chicken and French fries. That's what it is. And they were able to escape this label that had actually become a prison, an invisible prison for them. All right. So our principle today comes from Mr. Wayne Dyer, who says, examine the labels you apply to yourself. I'm going to add to this, though, or that are, applied to you by others, because every label is a boundary or limit you will not let yourself cross. Oh, we got to run that back one time. Wayne Dyer says, examine the labels you apply to yourself. Every label is a boundary or limit you will not let yourself cross. And as we talk about this concept of invisible prisons, I'm reminded of a man, and I forget who initially shared this with me, but it was how they train circus animals. Now, I'm not 100% sure that this is true. It makes sense, but I've never trained I don't know how to train no dang animals. I can't get our dog Linda to stop eating my food when I leave it unattended. So I don't know a dang thing about training animals successfully. And I don't know anything about circuses. But it was actually, they actually shared a video with me too. So I remember seeing it and learning about it. It's sad. It's pretty cruel how they'll train the circus animals, but they're really abusive. But they'll do things like, they'll have a circle on the ground, and anytime they leave it, they'll shock them, or they'll hurt them really, really bad over and over again. So that they're just conditioned in their mind to not step outside of that circle. And then eventually they don't even have to shock them. Like, you could almost try to force that animal out of the circle and it won't do it. Right? And then you can completely remove all of the pain or the harm. And then that circle becomes an invisible prison that they won't leave. Or they'll chain them up so long, right, that they're only used to going so far because they have chains on them. And then this is what I remembered seeing, is they actually had a video where they would unchain them and they wouldn't go past like as far as the chain would go. So they would unhook the chain, but they would still be chained in their mind. And that's what we do. And that's what Wayne Dyer is saying, is that when we put these labels on ourselves, maybe you say, hey, I'm broke. I've just always been broke. My family's broke. That can be that chain that you put on yourself. So when I'm talking to you about maybe prosperity and abundance, you're not trying to hear that, or you see that and you're like, yeah, that may be good for you or the next person. But that goes against what I believe for myself. And then when you get into how the mind works, especially the subconscious mind, it all makes sense, right? The subconscious mind is all about survival and sticking to the norm, the status quo. And so if the status quo for you is to be violent, or you ain't no punk, right? Anytime you try to move away from that, it's always reverting to what's the norm, what's the safe. Maybe you want to lose weight, right? And you go in the gym and you're working hard for a couple days, maybe a week or two, and then you're always self-destructing. Maybe you're one of those. You can only go so far without self-destructing. That's because that subconscious mind is programmed with all the labels that's been fed to it. Again, maybe from you, maybe from others, but somewhere in there, you have a self-image, and we can never consistently outperform our self-image. So if the self-image is stuck in you being fat, being overweight, being big boned, the subconscious mind is freaking out when you're moving down the lane of health and fitness and losing weight, right? In six packs. It's like, no, that's not the norm. Survival. Let's go back to what we're doing. And that's how you're always self-sabotaging. And oh my Lord, I've dealt with this. I'm not special here. We've all dealt with this, right? But I'm just saying, I'm not special. And I'm constantly examining these labels that I've put on myself, that others have put on myself, because they will limit you. Man, we could pull out the creator frame, faith, relationships, energy, economics. I've had doubts in all of those, invisible prisons and chains in all of those. Man, I was talking the other day, I don't know if it was on the podcast with my wife. We're bringing that back shortly. I don't know, we're not even supposed to tell people, but we're working on getting some episodes, and that'll be back shortly. But it was just, I had like an emotional moment not too long ago, just thinking about how far God's brought me, because to be in a place now as a fairly successful entrepreneur that has people looking at me and my financial life, trying to mimic and model that, and also looking at my marriage and my parenting and trying to learn from me and grow from me and get advice from me for their parenting, for their marriage. And I'm looking at this like, whoa. And just to give you an idea of all of the invisible prisons I've had to fight through, man, I didn't have an example of what a good dad, what a father is supposed to look like. I didn't have no one show me what it looks like to run a successful business. Like, that was never modeled for me. I remember being 8 years old, finding my dad's porn stash, and that started an addiction at 8 years old. So to be on a platform where someone's like, man, I want the marriage and the business that you have and the parenting that you have, I'm like, whoa, That's a blessing. But just think about some of the mental struggles I've had to overcome to actually make that a reality. Right? So as we get to put some feet to it, I'm jumping the gun. I almost hit the wrong beat. As it's time to put some feet to it, it's very, very simple here. I want you to do a scan, similar like we've been doing recently. Look at your faith, look at your relationships, look at your energy, and look at your economics. And I want you to list out any of the labels that, let's stick with the negative ones right now. And I want you to list any of those negative labels that you may have. Okay? Have you just labeled yourself as dumb, just someone that just can't understand the Bible? You can list that. Right? One for me that took me a while to get over, I was like the most prideful ninja on earth. You could not punk me. That was my thing. I hated to be punked. And my wife will tell you this. Like when we first got married, I tried to fight a guy when my wife first moved out here, and she was trying to get a job. This is before we got married. Boyfriend, girlfriend, she was trying to get a job. We went to the mall, and I asked the guy, so she was trying to apply at like a retail store, and they gave her an application. She's sitting down in the food court filling out her application, or she was about to, but she didn't have her pen. They didn't have a pen, so I went to the hat store. I was like, hey, you know, my girl trying to get a job, you know, she got the application. Hey, can I borrow a pen for her to fill out her application? And he was like, no, I'm not about to give you a pen to fill out an application for another store. Oh my Lord, I lost my mind. I made a huge scene. He's like an old, I want to paint the picture for, he's like an old Arab man. He don't want no smoke. I mean, he was a dirtbag. He ain't have to say it like that, but he ain't got no hands. And I'm trying to fight this old man, like in the little security guard on the little, what are those things called? Are they called mopegs? The little, I don't know, the things you stand up on with the handlebars. He comes scooting over with his helmet. Like, is there a problem here? Like, I was trying to fight the guy over not letting me borrow a pen. I've come a long way, man. If you were to ask me to like pass you the salt, we're at the dinner table and you didn't say please, I wasn't gonna do it because that would mean you punked me. You'd be like, hey Dion, let me get the salt. You better say please. All right, please. All right, cool. Here's the salt then. I was very, very prideful. But that label I had is just that it was like this macho man, I ain't gonna be punked. So I want us to re-examine some things. Look at all these labels that you have. Are they serving you? Are they getting you anywhere? Or are they holding you back? Have they become an invisible prison or the chain that's holding you back? Let's look a little deeper. Find evidence. It's okay to have labels that are legitimate, okay? But don't define you, who you are, by a circumstance that you may be in, okay? You may not have a lot of money in the bank. That don't mean that you are broke, right? I need you to be getting this creator mindset in, this creator identity, understanding that you are an abundant, creative, resourceful individual, and you could change that situation. You don't have to live in those chains. No, you don't. So it's very, very simple. I want you to list them out, and once we have them listed out, now we can attack them. Okay, now we can start breaking some of these chains, but I don't want you to overwhelm yourself. Just pick one. And as you knock that out, you can move on to the next. You keep this list, you can come back to it. As you're listening to this podcast, you need to start keeping a journal. Taking notes on these episodes, keep a notepad, and we can circle back around and start knocking those out. And as you start breaking these chains, you start to feel free. Across your faith, relationships, energy, economics, the landscape of your life just starts to look a little bit different. So let's commit to that, guys. Examining the labels we apply to ourselves, because we understand that every label is a boundary or limit that we will not let ourselves cross. I love you guys. Make sure you check out freecreatorcode.com, and I will see you guys tomorrow.